o'clock hustle.
5 o'clock hustle, bro.
5 o'clock.
5 to 8, 5 to 12, 5 to 3 until you get back up the next morning.
Every week I got a new idea.
And that's what it always is, right? It's crazy.
5 o'clock.
I was doing that in 2005, but everybody thought it was weird.
5 o'clock.
Thus, the side hustle was created.
5 o'clock hustle podcast. Man, they're having so much fun. Dude, the fourth musketeer has made an appearance.
Hi, guys.
Brandon Jobsz.
Hey.
Thanks for having me.
Brandon D'Artagnan Jobsz.
Oh, yeah.
Brandon, when was the last time that you gave a breakdown, like a high level of your resume?
It's been a while.
All right, do that.
Okay.
Refresher.
Graduated college from Cal State Northridge with a degree in finance.
Sweet.
Boom.
Went into the financial advisement sector. Did that for a short period. Wasn't a very good fit, but still learned a lot in the process. Wanted to get more into real estate.
Boom.
So did that transition and became a project manager for a real estate investment firm out here in our area.
Sounds
Oversaw operation in 2 counties
Boom.
and oversaw their distressed asset portfolio and helped liquidate some of their non-performing note portfolio.
What's a distressed asset for
So-
any of them that think it's like a hoe?
Sure. Distressed asset is any property that is under distress, to give a literal definition. Short sale, REOs, foreclosures, non-performing notes, things of that nature. Anything that
Got it.
basically people aren't paying the mortgage on.
Cool. All right.
Yeah,
So you the repo man.
I'm the repo man. Was the repo
Doing
man.
what the repo can. All right, where'd you go next?
And then now I'm a realtor and kind of made the transition over, wanted to get more in the space of helping people and building up the systems and processes, which is something that I'm good at.
Sweet.
And just trying to build up that relationship-based client service, if you will.
Nice.
And
That was a
here we
good
are.
formal,
Yeah.
very formal,
Good
very
resume.
nice.
Sure.
Did you just whip that out, or were you ready? Were you mentally prepared to actually like say those things, or like
No,
Just kind of
no.
I'm always
it's
mentally
kind of-
prepared.
It's my life. I live it every day.
you always got to have the elevator speech ready, right?
I guess so, yeah. Well, just to like let our listeners know, this is not our typical guest that we have on. Like I said, he is the fourth musketeer. He's one of our best friends in the world.
Hey.
We couldn't have a
Bam.
formal Squadcast without a complete squad.
That's right.
So
Thank you, boys.
Welcome, Brandon.
So he's gonna participate in our regular Squadcast activities, reviewing the past month's episodes, and just jabbering on about our feelings and our deepest darkest
Dropping
secrets.
some knowledge. He's also one of I would say he's probably the smartest intellectually out of the group.
Oh yeah, for sure.
So I'm
There's
interested
been
to
many
hear
a times
what he
where
has to
I've
say.
like caught Brandon off in the somewhere having a conversation with
corner?
someone, not in the corner,
Talking to
but
himself.
just talking to someone, and then like that person walks away and is like, "Holy shit, dude, that guy is smart." I had a 15-minute conversation with a guy at one of the I think it's bachelor party. 15-minute conversation of this guy literally just expressing his love for Brandon's intelligence. And I was like, all right, cool, dude. My name's Dre. Nice to meet you. He's like, yeah,
Buddy.
cool, Dre. But your buddy
Hey,
Brandon.
but Brandon though.
Thank you, guys.
And especially if you put like one or two in him, like a couple, like maybe a beer or two.
you gotta just then he's just
he
free
will
flowing.
Dude, you gotta use nouns.
He will engage. I know. I was like,
Put 1 or 2 in him. Guy's good to go. He will engage.
He will engage you.
well, I just say it like he will talk to you for a minute.
He'll get you.
I can do that.
And it's a very nice thing.
Yeah.
Hey,
He's
well,
deep.
we're putting 1 or 2 in him
Yeah,
right
let's
now.
put him
So
in.
Yeah.
Put him in.
Oh yeah,
He's gonna get
Let me
engaged.
open mind, everybody. This is
What's this
Four
about?
Sigmatic
Coffee.
Coffee.
Mushroom beer coffee.
Mushroom elixir.
Don't take away our affiliate partnership, please.
Why'd you bring it up?
Oh, whatever. It's our
Cheers.
podcast.
All right.
banging his wife.
To a
Cheers.
great,
make my-
to a
Great
great
Squadcast.
yeah.
Here we are.
Cheers,
boys.
Squadcast.
Cool.
Yeah.
All right, so
Yeah.
So
let's not cut me off and let's let me ask you a question real quick. How many books would you say you've read in the last 5 years,
Brandon.
Brandon?
Brandon.
I try to crank one out a week,
That's awesome.
Crazy.
but I can go on dry spells where I don't crank one out for a few months. So I'd probably guesstimate in the last, how many years did you say?
I said 5. We can go 1
Five,
if you do that.
Sure. Let's say 2 to 300, 250 to 300.
That's
Probably.
awesome. What's your favorite book? Do you have a favorite? Maybe top 3.
Ooh. Let's just go off the top of my head. Let's say Meditations by Marcus Aurelius. Man's Search for Meaning by Viktor Frankl. Oh, let's throw something different. Let's throw a fiction in there. Let's throw Ender's Shadow.
Twilight. So why like very high level, like what makes you enjoy those books?
I like think pieces, and I love philosophy and psychology.
Meditations is awesome.
Yeah, you read it? It's great.
I haven't read all of it, but I've read a lot of it because I heard this Navy SEAL. His name is Mark Devine, and his whole thing is like Marcus Aurelius everything, like Stoic philosophy,
Stoics
everything,
guidelines.
and there's some really great stuff in there. Everybody should freaking check it out, and you can actually find it for free on the internet. The whole freaking thing. So
I have the audiobook on Spotify. They have the whole audiobook on Spotify.
We'll link to some stuff on it so the listeners can check it out.
So I was
I'll after we're done with this, I'll give you a link because it really makes a difference on the translation.
Oh, okay.
So I'll send you the one that I have because I personally really enjoyed it, and I've read 2 or 3 of the translations, and there's one particularly that I think you get a lot out of.
Awesome. Yeah, we'll put that in the show notes.
Yeah, so I was asking because like it's something that I brought up to the group and I haven't brought up yet to our audience, but I've been like, we have no choice but to sit here and soak in all this knowledge from really successful people, really motivated, really successful people, the people we interview. And so what I've been doing is as I go back and listen through all of the different episodes, like there are distinct things that all of them do. And I feel like it has to be one of their keys to becoming who they are and stuff. So one thing I'm trying to start, and I didn't really bring this up too much, but I want to do like a leader lifestyle kind of theme throughout some of our episodes where we identify and hone in on one of the skills that we see all the different leaders that we're interviewing doing.
Sure.
And then incorporate it into our lifestyle for a month and which will probably turn into forever if we end up, but kind of like taking one of those things. So one of them, I have 2 of them right now. One of them for me is reading more books. And the other is actually waking up really early. Because I used to wake up very early, and I've started kind of falling into this pattern where I'm waking up at like 7, and then I hit the snooze button like twice for 10-minute periods. But like, so those are my 2 things. So I just wanted to know like what kind of books.
If you want help with that, try having a kid.
I'm gonna wait for that. That wasn't in the handbook.
It'll help you get up.
Or
we can
work at
kill-
a foundry that opens at 5:30 a.m. every morning.
We can kill 2 birds with one stone with that for you. I actually just recently read Miracle Morning. Great read on that and the benefits of waking up early.
Oh, cool.
And kind of the procedure and process of why it's beneficial.
Awesome.
And how to do it effectively.
Cool.
Because like me personally, you know me, I'm kind of a night owl. I'm terrible at it.
Yeah.
And if I break habit, then
Yeah.
I keep waking up late and et cetera, et cetera. But anyway.
All right, cool.
Miracle Morning.
Miracle Morning. Cool.
Dude, that is
Miracle
perfect.
I'll have to check that out.
Check my box. The check box. That's what I meant on that one. Well, that's awesome. So thank you. So is there anything else that you feel that you do that helps you be successful?
Related to the reading thing, I actually think that stems from just a natural curiosity in things. And I think that's where I get a lot of my patterns and stuff that lead to success, if you will. So I think just a genuine natural curiosity. Like I read not because, stamp it on a book. I didn't even know you were going to ask that question, but
I didn't tell you I was going to ask any questions. So.
Yeah, that's true. That's true. No, I love learning for learning's sake. So for me personally, I just love knowledge.
That's great.
Well, there's absolutely an osmosis kind of thing that happens I feel like if there's stints when I don't read and I don't consume any kind of like educational material, speaking with, our guests on the podcast, things like that, then like I kind of fall into a kind of numb state, really. And I talked about this on the podcast before when I was driving a truck for a living for a very long time, and for that period of time, like I just kept getting number and number and number, And then I actually found podcasting. I could like kind of engage that way. Like it was like, almost like you're having a conversation with people when you're listening to these things. And I thought it was really great.
Absolutely.
Do you ever like respond to the people that you're listening to? Because I find myself doing that all the time.
Sometimes. I mean, Dre, you remember when I used to listen to talk radio all the time?
Yeah, all the time.
I would
always
I would
listening.
call in every now and again. Like I don't know if it was kind of built into me to like have that kind of medium
just
like
engage,
in my
yeah.
life, but like
We're not talking Ryan's Roses here. We're talking deep stuff.
We're talking
I
Tom
wanna-
Likas.
I want to
Shout out to Ryan's Roses though.
I want a pair of Magic Award tickets on the radio, bro. Come on.
Nice.
No, but there is a osmosis kind of thing that happens when you do consume a lot of educational material. Not necessarily even educational. If you're just reading in general, I feel like your brain just opens new passages for creating more thoughts, I guess.
Absolutely agreed. And a tidbit I'd like to add, which is something I'm terrible at, is, there's got to be some aspect of application behind that. Like I tend to just consume it and then put it somewhere in the mental box, and then there it is.
Yeah,
So if you're not applying what you're reading, what good is it?
yeah.
Yeah.
That's fair.
So going back to like the your whole curiosity for learning and that whole thing, what sparked that in you? I know your mom's an educator. Your father knows. I feel like he just knows things just because he's your dad. But is that something that was instilled in you from a young age? Like, did your mom like push books for you guys, or is that something like you said it was just a curiosity? You looked into it, you liked it, and you just kept doing it.
I can't pinpoint out something specific where I'm like, oh, that was like the defining moment that made me realize that I just love learning. But yeah, my mom did get me into reading very early, and it just stuck the whole way through pretty much.
Nice.
That's cool. So, do you guys have? So I just brought up this whole like leader lifestyle thing. Do you, Chris? I'm staring at you. You're staring at me. It's beautiful. Do you have anything like that you would like to? Would you be willing to incorporate one of the things that you've learned from this show into your life for a month?
I feel like I do that actively every single day, especially when it comes to the thing.
I don't care about what you're doing. I want to pinpoint what you're not doing.
Oh, what I'm not doing.
Yeah.
Well,
So I don't care if you wake
when
up
I
every
say
day
that-
and you read. That's great. So those are my two things that I'm not very good at.
Let me give an example, and then I'll let you take over. Because
Right.
I have
Yeah, sure.
mine is because it's been a reoccurring theme in all these podcasts is mentorship. Reaching out to people who have done it, are doing it, actively doing it, and who are willing to. We've had so many people on the show. They're like, "Yeah, I'll take 30 minutes and talk to anyone." I want to go get those 30 minutes for like a month from whoever, and not whoever. I want to
Shout
intentionally
out to Idea House and Co.
right? I want to intentionally do it and talk to the people that are going to, put me in the direction of, where I need to go, just in business and life and whatever, So fitness people, because I'm on a pretty serious fitness thing right now. Podcasting people, because we're obviously doing this. And so I just want to try and find those people who will be able to mentor me and make me better at all the things that I'm actively doing.
How
right
much
now.
time are you willing to devote to that each week?
30 minutes, because that's what they're willing to devote to me.
Each week.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
So let's hear. So in a month,
We'll do a
in our
report.
next Squadcast we'll report in.
We'll do a
So I'm
report.
going to start waking up.
Start coming to the gym with me at 4:00 in the morning.
can't.
Let's
There's
do it,
no way.
dude. Let's
I
do it.
can't.
We'll skip legs.
I'm gonna wake up. I'm gonna wake up between 5:30 and 6 right now, which is
Respectable.
bringing it back a little bit. I'm not getting unrealistic though, and I'm gonna go for one book this month.
There you go.
There we go.
I think for me it's kind of tough because like I literally I came in here as a blank slate, and when we talk to these awesome people that have done so much, I literally, when I say I apply these things, the minute I hear a thing that a person said, I'm like, okay, I'm gonna try and figure out how to do that and then incorporate into the basically the organization of this podcast, the stuff that I'm doing at work, writing my book and all those kinds of things. But I think what I'm waiting for is to somebody come in that says, hey, here's how you can do more of the things that you want to do.
Okay.
And I'm waiting, we need to get some kind of organizational guru or something somebody to come in.
Like an efficiency elephant.
Yeah,
To learn more efficiently, basically, is what you're saying.
not just learn more efficiently, but be able to accomplish
It
more.
goes back to the
with my
application.
given resource.
Like you're talking about with
Absolutely.
the application,
Absolutely.
applying the things that those people are.
Yeah, because these people are like, like, go get it, like take action, like do all these things. I'm like, yeah, like let's.
Oh,
Well,
and you're-
okay, so
and
here-
we're
here's-
hyped. Like I'm hyped after those.
I would say
things.
that one thing, because you bust your ass. Like, it's crazy to watch all the things you do. And you're totally right. When you were saying that, I was like, yeah, it's pretty right. He's doing most of the stuff
he
that we
takes,
hear.
he
for
takes
sure.
it and then
But maybe one of the things, so I've seen you learn how to do a lot of things on your own. And it seems like you're learning how to do some of them organically. Is that true?
It's organically, as in like I'm just kind of.
Meaning you are trial and erroring your way through.
Oh yeah, for sure.
Okay. So maybe that's an area, if I may, that you could try and improve upon is, and not even improve upon, but maybe you're interested in exploring other ways to learn something without having to recreate the experiences. So leveraging other people's experiences to come to your own conclusions, unless you feel like it's super important to go through that process. But I see you learn like a new thing all the time. But then you tell me how long it took you to learn that thing, and I was like, well, maybe there's another person that went through this and could give you some tips and tricks or
absolutely.
shortcuts or something. So
No,
that's,
yeah. I think if anything, if I can like say like what am I gonna do to, take these lessons that we learn is basically to. It's tough. And
it's tough.
it's a tough question because like I do actively try and like that's why I want to do this podcast, because I want to be better. I want to become better at the stuff
Yeah.
that I do.
Sure.
And while at the same time, like meeting a lot of really cool people that can help me along the way, and then hang out with you guys.
yeah, no, I'm there too. And that's part
So-
of why our listeners they listen also.
Man, you'll have to come back to me because like I have something on the tip of my tongue, but it's
why
just
don't you
it's not
maybe
barbecued yet.
just an idea here? Why don't you try and instead of applying all of that to just general everything, podcast, life, book, blah blah blah, why don't you just try focusing on one for a month? So say book, taking everything that we've learned from all these people, focusing into a book, and just even say like 2 chapters. Like it doesn't have to be complete a book in a
Oh
month.
no,
Obviously.
I'm finishing 2 chapters this week.
So let's maybe
Well, just
let's
think,
put it towards that.
do that, and then also just think about it in the next hour. And then if someone pops up, then cool, and if not, whatever. You're already doing all this stuff, so
Yeah.
Yeah, you're doing a lot of shit already.
I'm not saying like I don't need. I will be the first person to say that I need to be better at all things.
yeah. No,
Whether
nobody's
it be-
saying that. I think that you take them and you start to internalize them and you start to work them into your daily routine quicker than most human beings or all of them
I
ever.
feel like
it's
I think for me it's something that I haven't done my entire life, and it's something I've incorporated in my life in the last 2 years, and I felt like it's worked, because like I was one of those people that like that would sit and say take in all this information and just kind of let it slide by.
yeah.
And after I started saying, hey, like, why don't I just do the thing and see if it works? And if it doesn't work, then scrap it, throw it away. It doesn't matter. I feel like for me, it's almost a faster way of figuring out the things that are going to be most sustainable.
Yeah.
And
can be.
so far it's worked, like, so that's not necessarily going to be my thing, but
Maybe I mean, I don't know. I don't want to try to figure out your thing that's for you to do.
No,
But
no, I
I
haven't.
think that's cool. But the one thing I do see in you, it's different from a lot of people, is like, I forget what the quote is, but it's like a man's biggest fear is his own potential.
yeah.
And that's really a recurring theme for me too. And I know
Our
that
biggest
like
fear is not that we are inadequate; is that we are powerful beyond all greatest measure or whatever.
yeah, something
There
like
he
that.
is.
That was great. But so that's not something I see in you. I don't know. Maybe you do think that you're scared of your own potential, but I know that like personally I am. Like I work really hard to like start something, and then I kind of pull off the gas because I'm like, oh God, if I give it my all, you could fail with your all too. And then I think that's part of the learning that I'm getting out of this whole experience is that failing is really never failing. It's so cliche to say, but like failing is just another step towards success. Is really,
Yeah.
Everything we learn is you could have like, say for instance, if I'm out there trying to make sales calls, I know what my number is going to be. I know that the average says that I have to try 30 times I have to get 30 no's before I get a yes.
Right.
So some people would say that each no is a failure. I could literally have 30 check boxes.
Sure.
And each time I get a no, just check off one of the boxes. And that's,
Yeah.
I mean, it's as simple as equating it to that. Like, you know, there's going to be no's. You're hoping there's going to be yeses. You know that it's going to take some amount of no's to get to yes, generally speaking. So there's no such thing as a failure. So,
Right. And yeah, it kind of goes back to what, Dre was saying, like, pick something.
yeah, but you can get better at anything.
But
can always
when
get
you
better.
say that, I'm kind of coming back to it, because I'm like, all right, I'm taking that in consideration. I'll pick a few things
I'll pick one thing, maybe,
because
and
that's
two
just
backups.
my personality, to like try and think of as many things as possible and then like try it out, right? I'm trying to consistently do that, in everything I do. I don't know. That's just how I fucking roll.
Yeah. Well, I wonder if I mean that
But yeah.
I mean that's something else that's interesting is how many like people that we interview are working on 10 different isolated, completely independent projects and able to be successful. At
Well,
all
let's
of them.
get into it. That's part of Squadcast is like taking a look back on some of our guests, and we had one in particular, Yancey Culp, in the last episode that we did before the Squadcast. And he, when we started the show, I kind of had him run down, just like how we had Brandon run down his resume.
yeah.
And it almost seemed to not stop.
Yeah, but it all had the same overarching theme, and not just a general theme. He has two things, and it really boils down to one thing: it's helping people.
Yeah.
Right.
That is literally what he does. What everything he does. If he were a business, his mission, vision, and core values would all be helping people.
others. Great.
Selflessness, humility, help. I want to do whatever I can to help people.
Right.
So, and that's a consistent theme with a lot of people is they create that for themselves and then they just go after it aggressively.
Right. Well, and one big thing that he said though was, I don't let any one thing take up all of my time. He that's how he wants his life. He wants to have his hands in as many pots as possible because that's how he is as a happy person.
In the micro. But in the
Right.
macro, there is one thing that takes up all of his time.
There is a overlying theme for sure.
Yeah.
But like his ability, like I want to be like Yancey, like I want to be able to like do. I want to write my book. I want to do the best work I can for Protocast. So like we're at the Foundry. I want to do the best that I can for the podcast. I want to be in all these little pots at the same time. Really,
Yeah.
it's tough. It's a really learning process.
There's
Yeah,
definitely pros and cons to both approaches, right? So you're trying several different things out. Obviously, the probability of one taking off is greater, but you have people, and we'll just rattle off.
Is that true?
I can rattle off book recommendations just related to everything because
That's good.
that seems to be the
You're
theme
made
of
for
the
podcasts. That's what
Right.
podcasts are. Is just
We'll
book
link to
references.
them. Don't worry. We'll link to all of them on Amazon.
So literally, you guys said The One Thing a few times, and there's a book called The One Thing by Gary Keller.
Yeah, I've read that one.
Okay, great.
I haven't.
I haven't.
Now you got your book.
Put it on the
I
list.
may need to do a reading thing with Dean for
Yeah,
a
let's
month
do
as
it.
well.
We can
Yes.
swap books.
Dude, we'll have a book club. 5-0 book club.
God.
Oh, did we just have a fucking idea right there?
Watch your mouth.
That was
Grandma says, "Watch your mouth."
Hey,
Sorry, Grandma Scott.
include me in because I'm not coming back on my reading. So I'll get in on that book
You had to
club.
make a more audible high five, Brandon.
Yeah. And a woo.
We're going to have a section
but
called
you're saying you
Brandon's
can-
Recommendations.
Brandon's recommendations
segment.
of reading.
Books by Brandon.
Books by Brandon.
That's very nice. But he basically touches on the fact that if you're trying to become exceptional at something, the primary focus of the book is time blocking and basically eliminating all outside sources from the world and drilling down on one specific thing incredibly hard for, duration of time that you see fit. If I remember correctly, the book recommends 4 hours. I personally don't have that attention span. And there's little things you can do to break it down a little bit. But while you are working, and I'm kind of going off on a tangent again, but while
That's
you
what
are
podcasts
working,
are, dude.
that's what it is, man, is to focus on your one thing. And I personally believe you have to become exceptional at one or two or maybe three things before you've earned the right to try out several different things and become good at several things.
And that's just to prove to yourself that you can like master something, or what is it? Like, just why do you think that that's more beneficial than, like Chris is saying, doing 1 or 7 things.
Sure.
And time blocking those,
Yeah.
7 things.
So so let me jump in. This is so cool. So I listen to a lot of podcasts like you read books, especially
Okay.
now I have a 2-hour commute both ways and some days during my week. So I'm like podcasting now.
Sure. Great.
And one of the people I was listening to, and I forget his name, but he has released a ton of really inspirational books. And one of the things he says, he always questions convention about the way that Western civilization sees things. So, for instance, one of the things that you said sparked something in me. He says, do confident people take action, or do people's actions create confidence? And so what we think in our civilization is that confident people are the ones that are successful and the ones that are doing it. But what he challenges is that no, it's people that get out there and take the action, that even success in being active creates the confidence that enables you to take more action.
Oh, okay.
So that's something that I just thought was really interesting.
That's an interesting thought to think of it that way.
I think it's true, just from being introspective on that statement, because when I'm actually doing the actions, I think we can all agree I'm a pretty outgoing guy typically, but it's a more shallow confidence, if you will. But when you're have that internal level of confidence, it's a really different thing.
Yeah.
Today's show is brought to you by
do that.
Qualia.
It absolutely is actually brought to you by Qualia. Brandon, do you know about Qualia?
I do, but I'm going to let you tell me more about them.
What's funny is because I used to take this supplement, right? And it's a nootropic. Do you know what a nootropic supplement is? Mm-hmm. So it's a nootropic supplement. It is the best one on the market, period.
The bee's knees.
They basically took these 42 plus ingredients and combined them and made this like super supplement. So you take this thing, and
Supplement.
this is before we were affiliated with them at all. So I want to be clear. Like, this is just my own personal opinion, separate from anything else.
Okay.
Wait, are we affiliated with them now?
Yeah.
All right. Well, you got to say that.
Well, yeah, for sure.
Yeah,
We're
but
for sure affiliated.
People
with
trust you. Yeah, but let's go ahead. So even before we had any kind of connection with them.
So I heard about this stuff on another podcast actually, and I was like, I'll try it out. Like I'm a self experimenter. I like to see how things happen and see if it actually is gonna work. So I had this stuff. It's relatively expensive, but luckily we were able to work out a deal with Qualia recently, so we can get 10% off like whatever you order from their website, or 15% off. You get a
Nice.
subscription.
That's actually pretty legit.
Yeah. So basically, I took the stuff, and I get brain fog a lot. Like I said, like when I was working on a truck and everything, like I would just get numb. Mm-hmm. I still kind of have a lot of that today. And I took this stuff, and it was like the
Oh,
Bradley
this is the stuff you were
Cooper-
talking about, Bradley Cooper in that
it is
movie.
the
when
Bradley
he, like,
Cooper limitless drug.
Okay.
Yep.
And you feel like you're a freaking machine.
I'll take 3.
And
Right.
well, actually, you have to take more like
It's like 7.
7.
It's like 7.
like all the actual vitamins that properly work.
It might
Like
not
when
be
Bradley
for
Cooper
you
was taking
if you
it.
have a
took a
problem
lot.
taking pills. It might not be for you.
Yeah.
But this stuff, it is honestly amazing. There's zero like side effects or anything like that. It's all natural nootropic supplements, and it's really great. I highly suggest anyone check it out. You can use code HUSTLE on their website. You can find it in our show notes as well, the link, and you can get 10% off, like I said. But everybody try it out. Just try it out once. Use the one-time 10% off. If you use the 15%, you get it for as
get
long
the
as you have a subscription for. So you're actually going to save a lot of money. But honestly, just try it out one time. If you don't like it, then you can actually get all of your money back. So
Wow.
what do you freaking lose besides becoming a genius? Like next time you have like a big meeting or something, I'll hook you up with a dose.
Pop a couple. Get in there.
You take it's actually 2 bottles. You take like 4. Well, it depends on your weight too. So I think the normal dose is like 3. I take 4 because I'm like maybe a couple pounds. I might be a little overweight. Whatever.
Chris, you are fit. Stop it.
So you take a few of those, and then that's before you eat, and then you take another 4 of the other bottle, and then you're just ready to go.
Okay.
You're supercharged, limitless Bradley. You basically become Bradley Cooper, which
Fantastic.
All right, so let's cut back. Now that we
Paid those bills.
Okay. Let's cut back into
Use code
talking
Hustle at
about.
checkout.
Yeah, do that. Let's talk about the episodes that we released in the last month. So
Yeah, sure.
So, and let's talk about their themes, and they were all very different actually. Whereas a lot of times we can kind of tie some high level themes like and they all follow suit. But we had Yancey, which are episode 16, and Yancey was awesome, and we all tied it back to kind of preparation, but there was a lot more. What do you guys think was like the main theme in that?
I think what was great about Yancey is that there was so many golden nuggets. It was the preparation thing, that was for sure, but it was also the stop focusing on the 2%.
Oh my God, can I try this? Let me try this.
The 2%.
Guys, look, guys. All right.
The
So
twang.
what I want you to
Twang.
understand is that was a little too farmer, but what I want you to understand is about 2%.
No, it goes like this.
Wait, no.
Okay, keep going,
I
keep
wanna
going, keep
try
going,
it.
keep going. You try, and then I'm gonna try.
You got to lose yourself. About 2% of everything that you do in your life, only 2% of it people are going to know about. Only 2% of it is going to be in the limelight.
Friday night.
98% is going to be behind the scenes. 98%. No one will ever see. No one will ever hear of. You have to be comfortable in that 98% and in that
Friday
2%.
Night Lights.
No Friday Night Lights.
Friday Night
No
Lights.
birthday cake every day.
No blowing out the candles, making wishes.
How was that? I got so
That was
hyped after
pretty
you
good.
said that.
Yeah,
That
that
was-
was
Honestly, I got when he started saying that.
How'd you
that
feel when I
whole
said it?
speech,
Literal
It
chill
was.
bumps.
I didn't
Literal
get
chill
this
bumps.
exact effect.
Yeah, no, he gave me
But
chills when he said that.
I
That's
got
cool.
I got literal goosebumps when he said that.
It was, yeah, I got goosebumps for sure. And I looked over at Dean, and he was like, and he started writing down the timestamp, and he was like,
I was like,
"Dre,
that is the sickest
that's
quote
the one right
ever."
there." But I knew already. I was like, okay, but I didn't think to look at the timestamp. But Dean was on top of it. But I heard that, and I was like, dude, that's like, because he said the no Friday Night Lights,
Yeah.
and I'm like,
God.
that feels like that should have been a speech in the movie, the show, whatever. Like
Yeah,
just
he's
to
a
get
coach,
the,
so
to get
what?
the team.
Did he plagiarize from the movie? Right?
If he did, I don't care, because in the moment I was so hyped. I was like, I'm gonna go home and tell that to my son. I'm waking him up, and he's not gonna understand a word I'm saying, but I'm gonna be like 98% of anything you do, whether it's sports, whether it's school, whether it's being a parent, it's not gonna be seen. None of the Friday Night Lights, not in the spotlights. 98%. The kids getting the graduation, like, man, he was just on fire.
So lit.
He was on fire, so I loved it.
But
That was right at the end of the episode too. So like, make sure if you go back and listen to that episode, listen to the whole thing.
Listen to the
'Cause
whole
It's buried. We take some time to build up on purpose because we want you to get to know the guest. But honestly, you have to make it to the end point. It's like a goal. It's like completing something that you set your mind out to do. You gotta go all the way through. And
Yeah.
like that's the same with our episodes too.
So that was a huge theme of his show, was the whole like focus on the work, be happy with the work. If you're not happy with the work, then the 2% isn't gonna come,
Absolutely.
right? So that was huge.
What do you think about that? When you hear that for the first time, what do you think?
Powerful.
Yeah.
Seriously.
Yeah.
That's in our own heads, we're the movie star of our own, lead actor in our own movie, right? So
Yeah.
to be, it's very literal and it's very powerful, I feel like.
And it makes you have to be engaged and passionate about every aspect of what you're doing.
Absolutely.
Because it's so true. Like we're all results oriented, but it's like maybe the result is in the process. You know what I'm saying?
absolutely.
So that's huge.
And
And,
then-
I think too that when your 2% comes, like when that 2% is available, like when that happens, like when you're in the spotlight and you're in front of all these people, and you haven't been putting in the work during that 98% of the time, then you show like you're fraudulent. At that point, it just almost looks like if you're saying these things during that 2% or whatever. I mean, and most people may not be that flashy and showy and stuff like that, but in certain aspects, like I see a lot of people nowadays where it's like, oh, I do this and I can get that for you and I can get that for you, but if you haven't been putting in that, if you've been spending 98% doing what you're supposed to do in the 2%, like, and not actually putting in the work, then when that 2% comes, it's like the when preparation meets opportunity, it's equals success.
It's
If you're
so
not
funny you
prepared,
just said that.
if you're not prepared and that opportunity comes, people are gonna be like, okay, well, that was a waste of my time. What are you doing? So like you said, that 98% just balls to the wall. And then even then that 2%, you don't even have to be balls to the wall if your 98% speaks for itself.
And the point is, you don't need the 2%.
Right. Exactly.
You don't need. So if you can
Exactly.
get comfortable with not even needing the 2%,
then you won.
you're going to be
Then you've
win.
won.
You're
won.
guys. If you can get
Absolutely.
comfortable with not needing the 2%, you are a winner.
Yeah.
Chicken.
Focus on the
dinner.
98%.
And you
Nancy,
know-
this is because we love you, not because we're making fun of you.
And-
But it was
Yeah,
so
that's
hyped. I mean, it was.
No, I think the accent made it better.
I think so too.
Because it's just like,
But back to that whole theme. It's like, you know, he coaches Spartan racers. You know, Spartan obstacle course racing. It's not just Spartan. It's, you know, World's Toughest Mudder. All these guys, and
When he coaches youth mindset, and he coaches.
well, and he coaches me.
Yeah.
And I'm not gonna get those Friday Night Lights. I'm not hitting that podium. I'll never hit that podium.
Yeah.
depends on how you work in the 98%.
I guess so. But you know, like I'm happy just training.
Yeah.
And I'm happy improving myself in that moment. And you know, that's the reward. If you can make that the reward, and that kind of goes into another one of his points is choosing your platform. And I don't know if you remember that portion of what he was talking about, but you know, choosing your platform. So he said that you're in basically 3 platforms, Brandon.
There's 3 platforms in life. Every single one of you guys in this podcast, me, everybody we're in contact with every day, you spend most of your time on one of these 3 platforms. I'll summarize it real quick so we can get out of here. Platform A, you're a freaking rock star. You get up and you dominate the day. You kick ass. You take names. You serve others versus serving yourself. You have a positive attitude. You're just a freaking rock star. Platform C on the other side, I'll summarize it saying you're just a freaking pain in the ass. You cause trouble. You're just freaking pain in the ass. In the middle somewhere, you're just kind of the mediocrity. We'll summarize that one with mediocrity. Every one of us, every day, spend most of our time on one of those 3 platforms. And normally we have a choice on which one we want to stand on. If you're the janitor or you're the CEO, you have a choice to be on one of those freaking platforms. That's a decision that we can make. Make that decision work well for you. You know where you'd like to be. You know where you want to be. In most cases, you can get your butt on platform A and dominate the day.
So you just heard Yancey schooling you, Brandon.
So what platform do you want to be on? You got to ask yourself. Not
gotta ask-
you.
Sure.
This is hypothetical, rhetorical, all the tools. But
But you can choose it. Is the
you
main
can
point.
choose your platform.
You can choose your platform. You can choose to be the best version of yourself every day, or you can choose to be the worst version of yourself.
Or
every
you
day.
can just
Yeah.
not choose and be like, and
I think that's where most people kind of are. And Dre said the John Wooden quote a little while ago, and he's brought that up a couple times just through conversations throughout our life. And I can definitely see the similarities there. And it reminds me of, I don't even remember who said it, but it was along the lines of people that are living for the weekends, essentially, right? Mm-hmm. They're just trucking through, and they're not enjoying the other 5 days of the week they think are shit, essentially. Mm-hmm. And they're just living for the weekends. And if you're not enjoying the path, if you will, then absolutely. So,
yeah,
completely
Gotta
agree.
enjoy the process, man.
Yeah.
Yeah, well said.
yeah, yeah.
So who else did we have? We had Jared Smith
From Impact Theory.
from Impact Theory.
Yeah.
You know, Jared, I actually initially reached out to Jared because I was trying to get his boss on the show.
We'll talk about tactics
We're-
in the next
We're
episode.
trying to get Tom Bilyeu on the show.
I was trying to get Tom Bilyeu on the show.
Strategic.
Tom
But you know, like,
Bilyeu.
you know, he's a busy guy. Tom Bilyeu is you know, the founder of Quest Nutrition, and then he kind of moved over to his new passion with Impact Theory, which is this viral, massive media channel that they've developed with hundreds of thousands of viewers a day. And
We're trying to be motivational Disney.
and you know, he's a busy guy. He wasn't doing podcasts at the time. Jared was really honest with me. He was the one kind of handling the account, and I read Jared's what's the email signature,
His signature.
the signature, and it said director of marketing and growth for Impact Theory, and I was like, well, that sounds like a really freaking cool position because it's such a new company, and they've gotten so popular in such a small period of time. They've only been doing it for about like a year.
Yeah.
And I was like, I got to get this guy on.
Yeah.
And you know what? He was like, you know what? Let's do it. Like, I'm really excited to be on the show. And he came on, and he was a freaking delight. He's just a super nice guy.
Yeah, super
And,
smart.
Yeah, and he's had a really like incredible career educationally, and he was able to transition that into an amazing career. Working with Impact Theory and working at Quest before that too.
Yeah.
So,
And I liked, I've also, I was able to, like, in preparation, which is very important to us, in preparing for his episode, I actually read some of his articles, and he has some really, really insightful stuff about mindset.
Yeah.
And how important it is to have the right mindset going into anything, going into challenges, going into life, generally speaking. And it was really powerful, and it was really inspiring to, like, take a look, because even before preparation, like, good people that are about preparation, coaches and stuff, they will target mindset. But a lot of times in our lives, that kind of gets skipped over to where they're like, okay, you got to prepare. Like if you're going to go, run a race in Big Bear, Chris, in a month, you got to prepare. Okay, so what am I going to do to prepare? I'm going to throw 8 sandbags on my back and run up this mountain 5 times a day. I'm going to do whatever they're called, burpees and friggin' up downs and all of it.
Get used to them, dude.
And all that stuff until it kills me. But like, way before that, you have to set your mindset. You got to be clear on what it is you're trying to achieve from a mental aspect as well as a physical aspect, because your mentality is going to get you through the physicality.
Yeah.
So I thought it was really cool that that Jared touched on that, and he was really big on mindset. And also Impact Theory. I've been able to watch a lot of their videos and stuff. I don't know. Have you ever, Brandon? You ever?
No, I
been
haven't.
involved? Okay.
Honestly.
So they really do interview. They're similar to us. They're just on a much larger scale, and they happen to have they have some really popular people on there.
Top
And,
leaders, people,
yeah.
CEOs.
Yeah,
Heavy hitter.
and I like to
Wyclef
think
Jean.
that we do too. We just don't quite have access to
Wyclef-
all of them.
John, a John,
But so what
If you're listening,
what Tom Bilyeu
5 o'clock hustle, please come on.
what Tom Bilyeu's all about is, in this, what they said that he started the company for, and he started the YouTube series for, is enabling people to unleash their full potential.
Yes.
And I think that it's really cool that they have Jared on their staff, because he's all about mindset. That's a huge part about unleashing your full potential. So I thought that was really cool. Do you guys have any other pieces of the episode that you want to bring up?
Well, I just want to, like, first of all, everybody check out Impact Theory. Check out everything they're doing. Jared actually hosts the after show for Impact Theory. It's called After Impact. Okay. And they basically talk about what transpired during the episodes they do. But he did mention like a lot of the people that he really loved to have on. And then one of them was David Goggins. You guys know who he is?
Oh yeah, baby.
Yeah.
He is this like incredible, just I went back. I listened to the Impact Theory episode with David Goggins actually, and I hadn't really heard him before, to be honest.
Yeah, I've seen a couple of his things,
and his story,
it's insane.
I was like, oh my god. he went through boot camp, not just boot camp, like the hard, like the special forces, like
Proper
Navy
stuff,
SEALs boot
Navy
camp,
SEAL boot camp,
like 3 times, and like what?
Yeah.
Like, why?
It's
You
like
did it once.
You did it already.
So he did that, and like he was talking about how he like taped his legs up because like he had like stress fractures all up and down, and then he learned how to like do that during like when he was like out of shape, and then ran across the desert for 100 miles or some crazy stuff.
Talk about very different cloth.
Yeah.
Talk about mindset and choosing your platform and like reaching your full potential.
That's sheer will right there.
That's everybody go check out the episode with Jared, and just he touches on a lot of the stuff that he learned from these amazing people.
Nope. Okay.
Yeah,
What was
I
that?
think
I was listening to a David.
one of my
Goggins speech,
favorite
sorry.
parts of that episode was just when he touched on the culture, and I mean, I think it all ties. It all ties back into mindset, because you have to have a certain mindset to build a culture. You're trying to get these people to buy into a certain mindset for one common goal, and everything
to
that
live
they're
it.
doing to live it, everything that they're doing at Impact Theory, and they have the 25 commandments, what I call them.
Yeah.
And I just like that. Everybody that works there is really, really in tune with what their mission is, and they all kind of live it, but like within their realm. So like he's doing all the marketing and growth, but like for him to come on and drop knowledge like that as a marketing and growth like you would think that he could be a guest on the show, like just because he was,
Well, he was
not on our show, on Impact Theory. You would think that he could be a guest on the show, but it's also, he also showed me too that, the people that they have coming on and talking to them, he's taking things from like what we're doing here, you know? So I think that it's inspiring because he's got all these top thought leaders and, you know, Gary Vaynerchuk and Lindy Robbins, or whatever her name is. I don't know.
He's got like Olympians.
They've got everybody. And he's getting knowledge just the way that we're getting knowledge, and we're not, everybody has something to offer, you know? It's just, if you take the time to listen and you digest what they're saying, and it can mean so much more to you. It doesn't matter who it comes from. It just matters what they're saying and then how you apply it, like we've been saying the entire time. So
now, for efficiency, I feel like the source is relevant, and I agree with you. If you're being, you know, introspective about it, a bum and a very wealthy individual can tell you the exact same advice. But for self-efficiency's sake, if you
of course,
you know what I mean?
If you hear it from freaking Tony Robbins, like I'm gonna listen to him more.
And I just polarize it just to like say that because they're having such high caliber people on that show, it's doing the footwork for you. Whereas you got Brandon Jobs on your show, it's like, dude, is he worth listening to?
Well,
you know?
in 20 years, people will listen to this episode and be like, dang.
Started from 5-0, now we here.
Started from 5-0. Hey. Well, then, okay, cool. So that was a really fun episode. We'll definitely link that YouTube channel to make sure that everyone can check out the Impact Theory episodes.
And I'll link to all the episodes that Jared mentioned in the show notes.
Great, that'd be awesome.
Thanks, bruv.
No problemo.
So that brings us to the episode that was kind of right in the middle of those, but was such a different format, such a different guest, such a different experience for us. So that episode number Wonderful 15 was Quant's Bakery. And for those of you that listen to it, you'll remember the fact that it's these two physics majors that are from Cal Poly Pomona, and also boyfriend and girlfriend, super cute. I know. I think the beer's hidden. But anyway, and for some reason, they're passionate about baked goods.
Yeah, it's
and
crazy.
It's so intriguing. Like, you can't help but want to listen to them and kind of share the journey with them. And that's kind of what I felt like we did. And we actually got to, you know, after, I wish we would have recorded it. We all said we wish we would record it, but we spent an hour and a half with them after, talking through like branding and marketing strategy and just their goals and how we could help them with that and everything. And it was actually really cool.
It was a lot of fun, actually. It was a really cool exercise for myself to actually like talk to these guys about their business. Dre, you didn't get a cookie, did you?
Well, because I was not there.
Dre wasn't there.
I was not there, so I could not get a cookie.
Yeah.
But when I was editing the episode,
it's like you were there.
You
could smell the cookies through the
audio.
Waves.
Because Dean was like so amped about the cookies. Like, you could hear him chewing on the microphone, and I was like, damn, Dean is chewing that thing like it is so good. And then they're just explaining it. And then I think the coolest thing about it is that they're like completely plant-based. Like, it's just all, they're completely vegan. And I'm like, I think vegan cookie, I think maybe you just grab some dirt from outside, made it into a little patty. But Dean, like the way that he was salivating over these cookies, he was like, yeah, I'm gonna have no cookies.
We did that sound thing.
Oh my God, I hate it.
So it sounded, and then on top of that, it just sounded like a fun experience because it was unlike any episode that we've ever done because, like you said, it was from a different perspective. It's two people who are, you think they're physicists, but they want to bake cookies and bread and things like that. And you're like, where does that come from? And then also they're a couple. Yeah. So they're working together.
And that had its own
business, and that had its own. It is a completely different energy. So I think that just from editing it, it sounded very fun. So
and they're a pure startup. You know, they're at the beginning stages of their career, and it's like they have such an amazing start for being such a young couple. Like, I'm saying young, like they haven't graduated from college yet. You know, they're what, maybe 22.
I don't even
should link them up with
How
Greg
old
Monroe.
are you when you graduate college?
Actually,
we need to link them up with Dill doing some baking out there in Vegas.
Shout out to Greg, by the way. I heard you guys had him on the show.
Greg Montrose,
Greg
yeah, that's right. When we talk about it, I know Brandon Jobs.
He gets a shout out pretty much every episode.
Does he?
So.
Yeah, he really does.
Pretty much.
He makes the 8-line all the time. But I thought it was really cool because usually when we bring people on to talk, we talk about their journey, but not as a in the present, we talk about it like what they've learned from their journey.
Sure.
And in this case, we were on the road with them.
Yeah,
That's exciting. Yeah.
And like trying to, you know, offer up some advice and then just get their experience firsthand. And it's really helpful because I'm pretty sure based on our analytics that we have a good amount of college students as listeners.
Yeah.
And it's so important for them not to only, you know, hear it from the people that have already done it, because there's a little, it's not even at arm's length. It's so much further. It's like they're looking into the future, like in 20 years, and like, oh, this is what I could be if I use all these tools and I take all this action and I internalize all these teachings. But it's like, here you can listen to two people that are actually putting all this to work right now.
Yeah.
Like kicking ass, taking names, setting the meetings, waking up early, staying up late, devoting themselves, being passionate, killing it in all these different contests, and beating out well-known companies in blind taste tests. Like, and man, those cookies were bomb.
They were really
So-
good.
so
I'm
it's
not gonna
like-
lie.
It's
They're
just good to
freaking
see
bomb.
people that are actually taking the steps. They listen to the podcast and they start doing the stuff, and they're being successful. And so that it's just encouraging and it's fun and it's fresh and it's exciting.
It's action in its present state.
Yeah.
And it was a really invigorating episode, and the fact that like it was like we're going on a journey with them.
Yeah.
We weren't just learning about their journey.
Yeah, no, you guys are tasting product like right then and there, like live on camera, and I'm
Yeah.
getting jealous. And then I see a Instagram message where Sean goes, "Oh man, I hope Dre's son gets that cookie." And I'm like,
You're like,
nah, my son didn't get the cookie, so we got some talking to do with my co-host here.
Sean, you're gonna have to send another couple of cookies.
No, but shout out to Sean and Lauren, man. It definitely sounded like you guys had a great time on the show, and hopefully I will get to meet both of them, and we could do a follow up or
well, you
or
will.
something,
Actually,
you
Sean
know?
reached out to us. I hope this is okay. I'm sure this is fine to say, but he reached out to us because we said we want to be a resource. You know, between all of us and all of our resources,
Yeah.
we have some really good knowledge and some really good tools. So Sean did reach out, as he would, because he takes advantage of opportunity like that.
He's an assassin.
And he asked if we could talk about branding and marketing and vision and mission and,
Yeah, man.
you know, values and stuff like that, and just how to build through some of those things. And I'm sure he's asked 20 other people too, because he's smart like that and he's action oriented. And that's awesome. Like, please. Yeah, Brandon.
Just to quickly touch basis on that, I think there's a huge marketplace to listen to people that are currently going through the process. You sometimes question when you're talking to the individual who's reached a pinnacle, how genuine it is, and is it as big as you know what they're saying. But when you have this raw level of, you know, interaction with people that are currently going through it, I think that's definitely something that's exciting and
Yeah,
and
well,
worth
it's
listening
like
to.
teachers. They do their best to make sure their students relate to their material.
Mm-hmm.
But imagine if the material, if they said, look, you need to learn this formula because in 20 years when you're a CEO, you're going to start using it. Nobody would give a shit. And so that's kind of the thing that we ask people to do, except, you know, we assume they're listening to us because they want to learn about this topic. So therefore they'll be receptive to that kind of relation. But the reality is, if we bring it back into the beginning of the process, it's much more relatable for a lot of those listeners. So that's really neat.
And what's kind of great about today is that you can document that journey. And it is a piece of
Yeah.
content for
Yeah.
you, and it's
Yep.
going to push your not only it's going to push, like, you know, your message further, but you're going to discover things about yourself.
Definitely.
And they spoke really clearly and honestly, and it was like it was vulnerable for them to say they've never been on a podcast.
Yeah.
Which means, you know, they're out there, they're starting their public speaking, they're starting their PR routes, they're starting their marketing presence. Like, so
Not typical of any physics anyone.
no, I mean, I don't even
and
think
you can-
physics majors are typical.
and I
But
think-
what about Elon Musk?
Elon Musk, he's a finance
I'm
guy.
just throwing you a curveball.
No, but I was just gonna
I
say
don't know.
that's
I just
a,
realized I don't know anything about Elon Musk.
Was
I believe his degree was in physics.
Was it really?
Oh,
I believe
really?
so. I could be wrong. I'll
What
have
if
to fact check
Elon
me
Musk
on
was
that.
Wasn't it
making
in
cookies
PayPal?
right now? I wonder how cookies would be if Elon
my
Musk was
God.
involved.
You know, they said when he
Mars
was building
cookies.
Tesla,
Mars
he just
bars.
he realized that the biggest thing was the fact that you couldn't, the battery that you would have to make would have to be so freaking big. So all he did was take the parts of a battery and find new ways to make them more efficient and smaller, and then put them all, like, he basically took a battery took out all the components, found out what the components were, priced them out, and just made hyper efficiency, and then put them all back together and made a battery that was able to do that stuff. So that makes sense if he was in physics.
This is a little bit of side tangent, but I'm in the foundry business, and we use a lot of metal, and cobalt is one of the main metals that you use to make all these batteries.
CO2, yeah.
And these
Kidding.
CO2, cobalt alloy,
Back to Chris.
not a gas. It doesn't make your beverages delicious.
Ultra fancy.
Shout out to Mushroom Coffee.
No, but like these companies, like Volkswagen, for instance, is opening like 22 of these factories that are going to be making competitive batteries for their cars, and they're taking up all this cobalt. So they're buying cobalt. Tesla's buying cobalt. Apple's buying cobalt, and now they're buying up like cobalt mines, and like just because they need so much of it.
Where are they?
And we're making cobalt is one of the main metals that you use for high.
You know where all the cobalt is? It's in Wakanda,
Oh my
right underneath the vibranium.
Sure.
But basically, it's making this metal so freaking expensive that was like initially used for like
Efficiency's sake.
Yeah, it's insane.
That's nuts.
Anyways,
So,
Supply and
side
demand.
tangent.
So I'm gonna sell all my gold that I've
And
been
make
stashing for the past 20
cookies.
years, and I'm gonna buy cobalt.
or
You heard it here first.
Oh, a lot of cobalt mines are in the Dominican Republic.
There you go.
Oh.
That's right next to Wakanda.
Shout out to
Thank
the
you.
DR.
Shout out to Google and the tools in front of you. So, yeah, I mean, so I got a lot from that episode. Not only being able to kind of turn the tables, because we can mentor people. We've all done different levels of consulting. I've done some small and mid-sized business consulting myself, and taking it back to those roots, and not always being the student, but sometimes also being able to get in like a teacher capacity or a consultant capacity is
It's
really
definitely more like a mentorship in that type of aspect.
yeah, and it was really nice. It was a cool experience. And are you raising your hand because you want to say something, Chris?
No, well, I was going to say, by the way, they really inspired me to kind of help more people out that are in that same situation that they're in. So I added something to our website. It's called the Corkboard. So you can go, and if you're a startup, if you're a small company, if you're like these two guys, or guy and gal, BFGF,
It's two cuties.
you can go to 5o'clockhustle.com/corkboard, and you can submit your business or your idea or your event or whatever it is that you're doing, your nonprofit. We really like nonprofits.
I love nonprofits.
So if you submit your idea, just give us a little note. Tell us what you're all about. Tell us why you think you would fit our audience. And if we really like it and we think you're really cool, then we'll promote you in our episode intros, or we'll promote you in our Squadcast. And that's a really good resource for you guys. Give you some exposure, and we really love to do it. So it's just our way of giving back. So go to 5o'clockhustle.com/corkboard. Fill out that form, and we'll see if we can help you out.
So maybe
very cool.
maybe that's the way we can tie together the theme of the 3 different episodes we did is they all have a feel of help. All they want to do, everything. Impact Theory wants to help people unleash their potential. Yancey obviously wants to help people prepare, be successful, but also have what it takes from a mental and a physical standpoint to
superior
be successful.
grip strength.
Yeah, superior grip strength, maintained excellence, and then you have the Quantz Bakery. I always want to say the Quantz Bakery kids. I feel like they from. I don't know why I want to say that. I don't mean it disrespectfully, but like
we're getting old.
But yeah, we're getting old.
Put it mild.
Sean and Lauren,
gosh
that is a
darn it.
compliment.
It is such a compliment.
Because we are so old.
Yeah, because they're light years ahead of where I was at that age.
Absolutely.
Oh my gosh.
Just mentally and in the actions and the motivation and
just like
And that's
in their physical being, like they carry themselves really
they are
well.
very well developed. Yeah.
And that was another thing I was gonna say is that I think that what they're doing is kind of the epitome of like where the business landscape is now, like for younger kids, and like where they're really just kind of like they're reaching out to different people, and it's through social media. It's through, and I know that that's very prevalent now in most big business and everything, but they're these young kids who are literally in school and have this great product, and they're literally just reaching out to anyone and everyone, doing their first podcast. And I think that's kind of where we are now. You know, like
Yeah.
I know
Yeah.
you mentioned like, you know, in the social media, whatever. I just feel like that's where we are now, and I think that going along that journey with them is kind of bringing a different view to shit. You know, I don't know what I'm saying, but anyway,
I like it.
go.
Brandon, if you want to say something, but
Just
I was,
say sure.
yeah, go. Well, no, Simon Sinek. Do you know who Simon Sinek is?
Simon
Yes.
says.
Well, he's this amazing. Brandon knows who he is. He knows who everybody is because he's written 1,000 books. But, 1,000 books a day. That's his catchphrase.
1,000 books a day.
All right.
Anyways, Simon Sinek is this amazing marketing, branding, just guru. He is like the guy, and there's this statistic that he brings up all the time that in maybe 10, 20 years, like 40 something % of new jobs are not going to be
Relevant.
Like no, well, not only that, but like they're going to be entrepreneurial nature.
Well, like it's the whole gig economy. It's everything. Literally, millennials by 2020 are supposed to make up 50% of the workforce. So if you think about it that way, and you think about the fact that there's a new mindset for millennials, and what they are seeing is that you have Uber. Let's just take Uber. Actually, I don't even want to go into any other example. You could either go to work for someone and deal with everything that your parents have been telling you sucks, with your shitty boss and your terrible hours, and you're overworked and you're tired, and you see that from the generation above you and above them. Or you could just apply to drive people around, have fun all day, and kind of own your own business. Like, but there are so many different companies that give millennials the opportunity to start their own business that's what we're looking at right now. We're looking at this gig economy. We're looking at a massive emergence of contractors and people like that, and it's just this completely different mindset in entrepreneurship. And the colleges see that because they're smart and they know. So we didn't have entrepreneurial programs when we were going through college. There was nothing like that. And now every college you go to, from the worst to the best, all have these crazy labs and these collaborative communities.
Masters in entrepreneurship now.
Yeah, and it's these whole programs about different ways of thinking, and that's what's going to be running our world. So that's why it makes sense. You know, it's just entrepreneurial nature has changed.
Sure. I just wanted to touch on one point which you were saying about the 3 guests, which is that they all want to help people. And I think that's very, very important in our current economy, as you're saying. The interconnectedness of information makes it so that you can't, one, people are savvier because they have access to information. And 2, you might be able to make a couple bad sales, right? Take advantage of people. But you can't do that nowadays with the ability for people to find a quick review of you and
they'll
see
Yelp
what type
you.
of
Yeah.
person
No,
you are.
you
Exactly.
you can't hide now with the internet.
Yeah.
Like you can't be a shady person. Yeah.
And that's why I think relationships are so important.
Yeah.
And we've had this conversation before about
You and Dre?
relationship drive. Yeah. Sorry. Need to specify that. We've had a conversation about relationships before, and for profit particularly. And I've said to him, you know, it can come from a selfish standpoint in that I want to give you such a good experience and such a high quality of service that I know you're going to recommend me to your friends and everyone you know and come back to
Which
me.
I think is a great take. I think it's a great take.
Yeah.
And you also obviously get the self-pride out of knowing you're giving someone, you know, high
Extreme
quality
value. Yeah. You're providing such value to them, but the underlying reason that you're doing, and not even the underlying reason, it's just one of the main points is that I want to go and provide more value for other people. So if I am super just good with you, I provide this ultra value, whatever it is that I'm doing, I want you to then go tell somebody else that I can provide this value. And it helps me, but it helps me help another person, and it helps me help another person, but it also is helping. So it's kind of like a selfish mentality, but if you're doing it and you're doing it authentically and you're providing just value every single time and you're not diluting your product, you know, every person, then I think that's what we're looking for now. You know, everybody wants to provide value and they want to provide the best product, you know, that they can, but nobody wants to do it for free. So, you know, you have to get something from it, but then provide that best value once you get the next person. I thought that was cool. And Brandon said, he goes, I tell people, yeah, it's the most selfish reason that I want to be the best for you because I want your business, but then I also want to help the next person too.
Yeah,
So I think that's really, it's selfish, but it's unselfish too.
And true intentions matter so much in the marketplace. Like I'm in
people
sales.
can read through you.
I'm in sales, and you're absolutely right in everything you say, Brandon and Dre. Your follow-up, perfect. People read through the bullshit so much quicker than they used to. Maybe. I mean, I don't know what they used to do, but I know that nowadays there's no bullshit. So I think it's really interesting, but I want to write an article about this, but I think the role of the salesman is going to come back, and it's going to come back in such a different light. Like right now you see salesmen and everyone, salesman, car salesman, like they're pushy and they just want one thing and they're tied to a number and blah, blah, blah. I think because all of the trends in retail and the marketplace generally are actually taking salesmen out, I think that when it comes full circle, they're going to be brought back in.
Oh, yeah.
But the way they're going to be brought back in is actually in a specialized industry where they are actually well known for helping tie a person to a product in a customized, personalized experience that both sides can trust.
A computer might be able to do that eventually. Though.
To make sure I'm interpreting it correctly, you believe they're going to take on more of a consultant type relationship.
Yes.
Okay.
Yeah, because there's so many products out there and there's so much easy access to them. And there's also a bunch of reviews that are helpful. So yeah, I mean, the entire buying process has changed completely, but I do think that salespeople are going to be seen in a different light. And I think they are going to understand the importance of true intentions when it comes to helping the person get to the solution. Like they are going to be the way that you get to something that you need versus being something you have to deal with when you're buying something. You know what I mean?
And I think it's going to have to be that way because nowadays, like I guess if you could think back then with salesmen, it's like they're selling you something that you desire, that you want, you know? And people desire and still want things now, but they want it like this. So they're trying to cut through as much bullshit as possible.
Yeah.
So it's like you said, it'll come back to the salesman all over again, but they'll have to be the most genuine, the most authentic. And like you said, it'll be from this point to this point without the nonsense, you know, because people feel like they can do everything themselves now, you know? So if the salesman comes back in, and that's the real skill, you know, in a place where everything is happening now and you can do it yourself and I can do it myself, for a salesman to be able to say, hey, like I can provide you this absolute value, and for somebody to believe that when they think that they can also get it for themselves, and that's if you can do that, then kudos to you.
Yeah.
But,
And I think the new kind of door-to-door salesman, if you will, is like the spam ad you see. You see your Facebook ad in between, and you see those types of YouTube ads, and it's like, listen to this, and you're going to make $1 million in a couple days by implementing these 3 simple tips if you subscribe.
like I said, the 20-year-old life coach.
Yeah,
You
exactly.
haven't even had a life.
That's
bro.
such a good point. And you know what else? What else changes and kind of builds on that whole argument that I'm bringing up and that we're talking about is that cold calling is cold messaging now.
Yeah.
So even receiving a call from a live person is already better than it was 10 years ago.
Yeah.
Whereas 10 years ago, cold calling, you get a call from a live person, you're like, you know, hi, this is James. I'd like to talk to you about solar efficiency. And you're like, fuck you, James, or whatever. You know, but nowadays, if I get actually a real person on the phone, or if I pick up and like, hi, this is Dean, and I don't hear it, oh, hello, this is, and I'm like, okay. But if I get someone there like, hi, Dean, how are you? You know, I was looking at your background on LinkedIn and I really wanted to reach out to you because I have this thing and I think it's important. I think it could help. Now, I'm going to listen to you. You don't hear that though.
I'm not there yet though.
If I can touch on
I
that.
don't pick up the phone anymore.
Well, you're not in sales.
Sure.
I am.
Well, okay, we all are in sales, but
No, I'm literally
everything that happens in
I don't
life
pick up
starts
I
with
don't
a
pick
sale.
up my cell phone.
but do you cold call?
Yeah.
Like I mean, do you sit there for an hour at a time and crank out calls?
Yes, I do. Yeah.
Oh, well, you
hate
just
it.
don't pick up your phone then?
I think it's dumb. But
Oh,
I
okay.
think
Well,
I think you
it's-
need to be strategic about it.
Yeah.
Sure.
Like I personally, here's my opinion on cold calling and door knocking and all that stuff, if you will. You have to have a very good follow-up program. Like, for example, I see better results from cold calling than I have from, you know, other drips and campaigns that we've run. And I've noticed that when I can get a either voice or face-to-face interaction with someone, and I can get them on one of my drip campaigns, and build that relationship and then build that trust, I can have a referral source and someone that I can do business with in the future. Whereas, as we were kind of touching on, it's the new spam is the ads you see on Facebook ad and stuff because they're so efficient, they're so cheap, and you see higher conversion ratios and that stuff.
Have you guys heard this one before? Hold on. So I'm like, hi, this is Dean. She goes, oops, hi, I'm Kristen. I'm calling because you recently stayed at one of our resorts. And I'm like, you're not. And I've actually heard someone in my old job.
I've never been to a resort.
I was like, I've never been to a resort. I wish I could go to a resort. You obviously know nothing about my lifestyle. I have no time to go to a resort. Now I'm pissed off and I'm hanging up on you, you stupid machine.
Yeah.
I've heard someone in the office next to me actually yell at the recording because they weren't used to it yet. And she was like, literally, it was, I can't say that. That's terrible. I'm not going to say it was, but she was in the office next to me and I hear her go,
Who was it, dude?
hello?
Who was it?
Are you, yeah, no, thank you. I'm not interested. And this, Kristen, the robot, keeps talking. She goes, are you not hearing me? I said I don't want to talk to you. Oh my God. Maybe you don't get it. I don't have the time. And then she hangs up the phone. She's all pissed. And she was like, I can't believe I've never stayed at a resort. I don't know why this woman would just not shut up. And I was like, that's her name in lip. I was like, I think that was a recording. And she goes, oh my God.
Man.
Oh my God.
That reality
But
set
but
in.
Brandon, getting back to what you were saying about like cold calls and live human interaction, I think it's about that, and I think it's also because you're a really good speaker and you're very clear, and you also know what to say because you have the right intention.
Thanks.
But it's also about multiple touch points.
Absolutely.
And I found the best success lately. Actually, I found the best success calling, following up with an email, maybe dropping by and saying hi, which is never going to get the result that you want, but always gets some sort of result. And then one final call right after that. Because one of the biggest barriers to sales and just to interpersonal connections generally is familiarity. And so once you establish some sort of familiarity, even if you don't actually know the person, but you create this relationship with them by multiple touches and by speaking with them over and by being sincere with them, you're creating that trust and that familiarity that actually breaks the barrier and allows you to talk to them about something you think is important to them.
Yeah.
So
and related to that and related to the Facebook ads and everything that we touched on, I think those human interactions are really important now because it's hard to differentiate yourself. And if you don't have someone referring you someone, how does a good quality person that hasn't established themselves differentiate themselves from some other person just trying to scam you, basically?
Or, I mean, that's the thing is robots are making it easy because they're like,
Yep.
shit, if you're, I'm a live person, I should be able to sell you something. Like, I'm much better than this robot, but it takes so much more.
I just honestly feel like it might vary from industry to industry too. But there's this I just feel like people are trained not to pick up the phone anymore because they do not want that. We're trained through all the social media,
Absolutely.
through all the messaging, not to like even attempt to want to make that personal interaction,
Absolutely.
vocally or physically or any of that.
Yeah.
So unless they're like forced to do it, of course. You know, if you leave a message, for instance, on a voicemail after doing a cold call because you can't get a hold of this person, that person's not going to call you back.
Yeah.
No, they will not call you back.
Never.
But that's why I brought up the barriers, because cold calling is all about breaking down barriers. Because look, if you actually believe you can positively impact a company or a person with something that you have access to, that you can give them access to, then you should be trying your best to get them that thing.
Right.
And so, like you just said, we're trained. We've been trained for years and years and years. Our parents are in the friggin' what's it called, the lazy boy or whatever, sitting in the living room. They pick up the house phone and they slam it down, and it rings when it slams. And they pull the line and they go, "That's gosh darn cold calling, telemarketing. I'm on that list. I thought that was good enough." You know what I'm saying? Like, we've all grown up with that, and we've all been raised to hate
Shout out
cold
to Sears.
calls. Shout out to Sears. But so we've all been raised to hate that. So in order to break that down, because if you have the right intention, then sure, break it down. If you don't, then screw you. Don't be wasting people's time. But so in order to break that down, you have to understand how we've built those barriers and what those barriers really are. And familiarity, like I said, is one of them.
Yeah.
And there's certain ways to break that down too.
And I want to touch on a way that I don't feel like it's industry specific, and it completely relates to what Dean's saying, which is that you're coming from a place of contribution and you're trying to add value.
Yeah.
I never hard sell when I'm trying to interact with someone. It's a soft sell because I want to build the relationship.
Sure.
So if I'm trying to get you to buy widgets, Chris, and I touch you once softly,
I'm not buying your goddamn widget.
Yeah. And he's like, I never want widgets. I don't know why this guy's calling me. Why would I ever buy widgets from him? And I give him a friendly phone call, just say, hey, if you're possibly interested in widgets, please reach out, blah, blah, blah. Then he gets an email or whatever, mailer to the door, a door knock, and it's all friendly, soft touch stuff where I'm not wasting his time, and he can tell that I'm not trying to just take his money out of his pocket, right?
And you're building a new
And
identity for
exactly.
yourself.
And
Yeah.
even if he doesn't realize it, maybe half a year down the line, he actually needs widgets now, or someone he knows needs widgets. He's going to think, well, that guy wasn't a jackass like everyone else that tried to sell me widgets.
Yep.
And maybe I'll give him a call and give him my business.
And he
So
kind of
that's
probably
just the
likes you
perspective.
too, is the thing. Like, because he doesn't even know. But what you're doing with being consistent is you're actually building his impression of you as someone who's consistent, as someone who's friendly, as someone who's not pushy, as someone who has access to something he needs. And most people should know that, except for impulse buys, the buying process requires timing. It requires circumstance. It's not randomized. So the best you can do, unless you want to be like a challenger sale and really, you know, stick it to someone, the best you can do is make sure that you're available, make sure they know what you can help them with, and just be nice in your delivery. And that's one thing I wanted to say too, is like we actually don't talk about this level of detail very often on this podcast. And I really like it. And so one of the things I wanted to bring up and see maybe if our listeners would be interested, but I think it'd be cool to run through the basics of things like cold emails and cold calling, and not right now. But in due time, I think we should actually make a segment to where we just hit the basics. Right. So we talk about all these things
Maybe
that we're talking about.
episodes,
Yeah, that's true. So if you sign on to our, that's true. So sign on to our newsletter, and then we'll give you access to all the bonus episodes. And I think in our first bonus episode, what we're gonna do this time, and I think it'd be really cool, is, you know, we all have 20 plus years of experience in this. You know, I work for a Fortune 500 company right now, and I've been through all their sales training, if nothing else. So, you know, it's really important to be able to know how to generate, how to captivate, how to engage, and how to give value to your audience. That's really what it's all about. It's engaging and providing value, and those are one and the same, actually. So I think that we'll have one segment where we go over email, the importance and how to craft your subject line, the first sentence, and how integral it is. Building your way down, what to talk about, what not to talk about. We'll go through it in email. Yeah. We'll go through a call. We can even do role plays if we want, or something like that.
Dude, I'm all about it.
But that's what I'm saying. So I think it'd be really cool to have that.
And I'm gonna say this too. I'm sorry to interrupt.
Dre's gonna add
but
to it.
I'm gonna say this, and not to add anything to you, but I'm just gonna say I'm personally excited about a scenario like that where we get to role play and do things like that, because I'm not a great seller. You know, like I've been in positions where I've had to sell
I think
things.
that's bullshit, but okay.
Well,
Yeah,
I mean,
I'm with Chris on that one.
It depends on the product. It depends on the product.
I think you can sell if you don't know
if
you're
it's
selling.
weed,
If I
he's
be-
got you.
No, I don't even touch that.
Dude, he
Why
doesn't
sell
do
it
that.
when it's
No,
legal,
Why are you
bro?
throwing that out there,
Dre,
man?
cut
That's-
that.
look,
Cut that.
Dre, cut that out.
Let me tell you something. If you're selling something that's legal illegally, you're an idiot. So let's just put that out there. Okay. But anyway, no, I feel like that's not one of my strong suits. Like if I'm not confident in like a product, or if I don't know.
There's a point to that right there.
What-
Like you shouldn't be selling it. Then
Well, that's true. That's
Agreed.
true.
Completely
Obviously. And I think that that's true. But I think that there's a lot of people who just kind of have that, like my confidence level when it comes to like trying to convince someone that this is something that you can't live without. Like it's not one of my strong suits. Like I can do it, and I can get like I'm fine with being uncomfortable. Like I can get through awkward situations, and oh man, that was kind of rough. Like shit, you know, whatever. But like it's just not one of my strong suits. So I think that for me, and probably for a lot of our listeners, because I think this is a common thing. I've worked with plenty of people who are in positions because they aren't comfortable doing something else, you know, but their skill set is actually there. They're just not, they don't have the confidence in doing it or the resources. Yeah. So I think that this would be great to give our listeners and myself the resources.
Yeah, cool.
And
well, let me ask you something though, real quick. Like, why do you think, other than this segment, why should people listen to 5 O'Clock Hustle?
Honestly, I think that people should listen to 5 O'Clock Hustle because we're them. Like we're the listeners, but we just decided to take action and actively go after the answers that everyone's pretty much looking for. You know what I'm saying? Like, I think that what this podcast provides is a launching point for young entrepreneurs, young business people to say, okay, like they gave me that, you know, and now I'm going to go apply it. Pretty much like we've been saying like throughout this whole podcast is the application of the knowledge. We're giving the people knowledge and allowing them the opportunity to go apply it. But we're also doing it along with them because we're learning. We're not coming from a place where we're like, oh, we know all the things, we know all the information, so now go do it. We're looking for people and we're bringing them the resources. We're saying, hey, we want to learn this too, so here's Jared.
Yeah.
you know, take a listen to episode 14. This is Jared. He's X, Y, and Z. Take a listen to Quants. This is, you know, whatever. So
step 2 and 3 of selling is relating and informing. You just did both those perfectly, just so you know. So that's why I wanted to ask you that, because I wanted to take you into
Put your money
something.
down, Dre.
So literally,
You just got school.
all right, guys, I'm selling
the
weed tomorrow.
The first thing you said is you're like, because we're them, and you're being sincere because you really the reason we do this podcast is because we are them. We are learning. We are growing. We want to hear successful people, not because we want to put our thumbs in our ass and like, oh, we got some new audience and listeners, yay.
Yeah.
Like, I don't even think we'd care. I mean, it's cool. We are building our viewership because we want to impact the most people possible, not because there's there's no money in this. I mean, there's zero. That's not what this is about. That is not what this is about.
We've made like $3, bro.
We've made at least $3
$3
to date. So we're only negative thousands. But
What,
mostly
episode
Chris is
17?
negative thousands. But that's what I'm saying is like you can sell pretty good,
Well,
but you
and-
believe in it.
and-
You know what I'm
right,
saying?
right,
The pro-
exactly.
Yeah.
The problem is, and no one likes the boiler room type salesman who's trying to quote unquote sell you. If you're coming from a genuine place of trying to help people and you know the fundamentals and how to go about it appropriately, no one has issues with sales when it comes from a place of caring and not being annoying.
Right.
Yeah.
Essentially.
And just
Yeah.
being genuine.
And just really quick, I'm really excited about this new segment. And if anybody has anything that they have questions about that we can like maybe use for that segment, you can go to our website and our contact page, and you can send us an inquiry for any questions that you might have, and we can answer them on the podcast and maybe incorporate in that segment too.
Yeah. So maybe we'll do the first one we do. And by this I mean this episode as part of this segment, we'll do one that's available to all the listeners, and it'll just be like a micro segment. And it'll
Maybe
be
periodically
quick,
we'll have like a.
it'll be a quick one. But you know what I'd like to do is you got to invest time into this, guys. Like, you know, for our audience, like we're doing this because we care about you, and I think it's fair that you show us you care about us too. So like, sign up for our newsletter. You know what I'm saying? Like, show us that you actually give a shit about the content we're putting out, and then we're going to quad our efforts to make sure and to tailor the content that we're putting out to what you need. So, but we can't do that unless we know who you are, we know what you like, and we need your feedback and we need your support too.
Yeah,
So.
tell us what you like. If you don't like the thing, like just let us know. Maybe give us a 5-star anyway if you're gonna write a review. But like, we're here to cater to you guys.
By the way,
It
the
goes back to-
last step of sales is the close. So good job.
It goes back to what Brandon was saying. It's like it's a selfish reason why we want you to leave a review, but it's also so that you can get more value out of this podcast. So it's
You're
a
gonna
win-win
get better
for both
guests.
of
You're
us.
gonna get better content. So you.
Dude, your strategic pause when you said leave just now had me on a cliffhanger. You're like, we want you to leave a review. And I was like, dang, that was cool.
As a guest on your guys' show, thank you again for having me.
Of course, man. Thank you for coming.
You want to be done?
No, not at all. I'm ready to roll.
We're doing another hour
Jeez.
late.
I'm just getting ready.
Insightful feedback from your customers or anyone you're servicing or your listeners in this case, there's nothing more valuable than that when it's genuine, so that, as you guys said, you can provide content that they actually want.
Yeah. So you heard it straight from a third party.
From a third party. From
What
the
are we
fourth
at right
musketeer.
now in time anyway?
We're at about an hour 30, like minus
Chill,
30
chill.
We
minute
had a little
break.
breakerino. Yeah.
We have like 30 minutes worth of break.
Wasn't it on pause though?
Oh, fuck. You're right. It was.
Traylon. Sorry,
So-
Grandma.
Sorry.
Sorry, Grandma.
Sorry, Grandma Scott.
So are we gonna do we want
Shout
to
out
keep
Greg Montrose.
do we want to keep it rolling or do we want to like wrap it up?
Well, do we have anything else to talk about?
I don't know. I'm sure we do.
I'm pretty sure we could ramble off, but Do we want to save some for?
I don't know.
some
I was
more
going to bring
podcasts?
in some futurism stuff, but we can say
I would like to throw this out here really quickly related to the sales stuff. And maybe it'd be a good way for you to put out your, what would you say, the cork board for people
Yeah,
that are
sure.
looking for insight and valuable information and possibly help. Someone that has something that may need to be pitched or something would maybe be, we could do a mock run through with them
That'd be cool.
and do a sampling of how we would go about it with
How to
their
structure a
product or their
proposal or
business.
something,
Yeah,
yeah.
exactly.
Yeah,
That'd be
absolutely.
awesome.
Yeah, no, that was one thing actually I was thinking about doing and incorporating is if you have like something that you are working on and you don't and you're not sure that it's gonna work, let us know. And yeah, we can
You
absolutely.
mean like a company idea, a product idea, or just anything?
anything?
Okay.
Yeah, anything we can. Like,
hit us up.
we're not gonna turn you away. Like, it's like if there's anything I've learned, like the people like Greg, people like Matt from ID House and Co. is like they're gonna give you their time, but it is it's like just we're gonna give you your time.
Those guys are
We're
so
gonna give you
giving.
a little bit of
They're
time.
saints.
But and the other cool thing is what that makes you do, which is probably part of the biggest value that people get out of that process is like when you reach out to a Greg Monterosa or Matt from Idea House and Co. Like I've been avoiding saying his last name because I feel like I'm gonna butcher it.
Rise it.
Ryzik. Ah, yes. Okay, cool. When you reach out to these guys, you also don't reach out and say, "Hey, I got an idea
Yo,
to
bitch."
make some sick crackers. I want to make a sick cracker box. You think it's a good idea?" And they're gonna say, "Well, what's your differentiator? What do your crackers look like? What's the packaging? What's the competition? What's the marketplace? What are the industry trends? What are the, like this stuff?" And it's stuff that you should know. So it also forces you to be prepared. And then they're going to say, "Well, what have you used to, to market? What are you using to finish your branding or to learn more? Who have you reached out to so far to try and help you with this endeavor? What's your path for financing? Is this a business you want to build up and sell, or is this something you want to grow forever? Or, what's your marketplace? Are you farming any partnerships? Blah, 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 blah. But this is all stuff that like people need to go through on their own. So I think, and that piece was about the tools part, but, I think that's also another kind of indirect value of being uncomfortable and going to these people is that you need to be prepared and you need to understand that you can't just take you need to be worth their time.
Yeah.
you know?
Absolutely.
So it's like, be prepared, do your homework, understand the very basic. And if you don't know what those are, hit us up. I'll tell you, I just blast it off. Most of the things that you should for sure know when you're talking to these people, because otherwise you're not making use of their time.
Yeah, and if you honestly, and I'm just being really honest to you guys right now, and I'm talking to the listeners. Like we're a group of guys that have pretty we have a common goal, but we have a lot of different ways of looking at that goal. And brand too. Like if you have something that you want us to help you out with, just let us know, and we'll be more than happy to give you our 2 cents on it. And and I'm Brandon. I don't know if like I'm kind of telling people that you're gonna help.
I would be absolutely happy to. It relates to what Dean said, and I learned this the hard way. I remember back in the day, I had a couple half-baked ideas, and I would approach someone with them, and I realized very quickly you can't do that. Their time's too valuable. They have too much other stuff to do.
You do it with me, dude. I'll do it.
Yeah, I appreciate that. But if it's something that I can find out through Google within 2 seconds, it shows that someone didn't do their homework and they're not very passionate about it.
True that.
But absolutely, anyone that's curious to learn, I'm happy to help.
Yeah.
So
And we can also cover that. Like, we were talking about cold calls and cold emails in the context of sales. But we could also, we'll make sure that's broad enough to talk about it in the context of reaching out for help too. Yeah. Which it has the same stuff.
That's huge.
It's
Yep,
all of the
that is
same.
fucking
It's all of the same content. The way that you build out a call or an email is the exact same way on a sales call or on an asking for help call, on a support call, on any of that stuff. Yeah. But so we'll cover all of it.
Yeah, or reaching out to people to come on your podcast.
Exactly. I was listening to a podcast the other day, and they were like, my version of a pipeline is having people that I'm going to be able to interview. And that's the same thing. He's just reaching out, asking people to join him on this podcast journey. And there's an art. There's an art to all of it. Yeah. Then there's a a little science and a little art.
Yeah.
And that's, and they can be combined for something great for sure.
Yeah.
Well, guys, I had a lot of stuff I wanted to touch on tonight, but we're pushing.
We're pushing
pushed.
it.
We're
yeah.
pushing some time, so I'm
Sorry,
gonna,
boys.
We're
I
gonna
think it's a
do
good
that.
push, though. I honestly think it's a good
Yeah,
push.
I was gonna talk about the future of jobs and things like that, but
Brandon Job?
I'm just gonna put this out there. We've all known Brandon for a very long time. I know that he's been very interested in writing, and that's been one of his goals in writing a book. He's been reading a lot of books, but I'm gonna make the push for Brandon. You've been reading all these books. It's time for you to write one, bro.
Oh, damn.
Time for you to get it
Even
going.
if it's a
I know
short
it's been
one.
one of your goals for a long time. I think it's time for you to start doing it. But
Start with a
if you
baby
need
book.
if you need to come on this show, like maybe once or twice more, 3, 4,
yeah,
5,
the return
6,
to Brandon.
7 times
what
more.
what we're gonna do is we're gonna be like Captain Planet. We're gonna combine our rings
We're gonna
together,
exactly.
and it's gonna fly
It's
in.
gonna fly in. No, but I think that it's about that time because we need to review one of those books on the show.
The 5
Do
o'clock
your
challenge.
thing. 5
Yeah.
o'clock.
5
Dude,
o'clock
5 o'clock challenges.
Ooh, I like that idea.
5 o'clock challenges. I
Not
think that's something that we
necessarily
need to
for me.
implement.
All right.
Stay tuned for 5 o'clock challenge because that's
But
one of our ranking keywords.
But
so
you know
we
the
gotta
cool
use
thing?
it.
They are self-initiated.
Well, how about this? What would you guys be interested in reading? Maybe I'll brainstorm off that.
I'm interested in reading whatever you're interested in writing.
Wow.
You know what the cool thing is?
Look
Look,
for that as well.
book writers nowadays, especially people in like the introspective area, personal development and corporate development and business development, whatever. Literally, their books are just full of really interesting ways of analyzing other books.
Yeah,
That is what a lot of
I'm not
books
gonna
are
lie, I'm
nowadays.
doing that right now too.
Yeah. No, that's what it is. It's taking a bunch of different knowledge and cramming
And
it.
one could say that's the basis of
That's everything,
all
right?
things.
Correct.
Almost
Yeah, I was
all
just trying to
knowledge.
boil it down to like write your damn book, but
Yeah,
but that's
yeah.
if you've read 300 books over the last 5 years, you have such a wealth of knowledge, and you also have a different perspective on all of that knowledge than the person next to you does, which is interesting. And you could take all of it, figure out what your top 15 most integral points are from that, what your learning is, and hopefully you're learning a ton of shit from it too.
Brandon, are you writing or anything right now in like a small format at all?
I write notes.
blog?
I write little notes to myself.
Tiny
but
little
it's
notes in a
like
small
yeah,
format.
extra small font
I think
specifically.
you need to
Brandon's
start
got
writing like
Post-its all over
articles
the
and
place.
stuff like that because I think people would really be interested in reading about the things that you have to say about the stuff that you are learning yourself.
I appreciate that.
And
yeah,
this is the thing too. We have a website where we can post these things.
Wow.
So you have a resource right
Lovely.
there, dude. So,
I guess what I meant is I have a few topics in mind though, and if one of those happened to be a topic that people seemed like they were interested in, I would maybe focus on that a little more
What are
so
those
than
topics?
a broad range. We'll go into that. We'll talk about it afterwards, and I'll get into everything with you. Secrets.
Stay tuned for
Tune in next
bonus
time.
episode. Subscribe to our newsletter.
You know what, Chris? If you do one more contest where no one participates, I'm gonna blow my.
I'm
freaking-
participating. I'll start writing.
Or did a lot of people participate?
Yeah, actually.
Oh,
At the very least, maybe
thank
I'll.
God.
I
really
owe a
didn't
lot
want
of
to
people.
vote.
Shout
I owe a
quality.
lot of people mushroom coffee.
At the very least, maybe I'll compile some notes together and format them a little
Yeah.
bit because I've got some cool little one-liners.
Absolutely, man.
Sweet.
Well, guys, we're going to wrap this up, but thank you so much for tuning into another episode of the 5 O'Clock Hustle podcast. You can always subscribe to our newsletter. Please subscribe to our newsletter, and you'll be able to get access to all the bonus content, all the fun stuff that we're doing over here, and you'll be able to hear some stuff from Brandon too from time to time. I just signed him up for that. Don't worry about it. And but yeah, everybody, Brandon, thank you so much for coming on the show.
yeah,
Thanks for
man.
having me, boys.
How was your
Appreciate
podcast experience?
It was my first podcast experience, and it was lovely.
Okay,
Yeah.
well, we're happy that you're cool with it, and sorry for rambling and
I
and
probably
whatnot.
did more rambling than anyone.
Well, okay. Thanks again, everyone. What do we say
you
at the
guys.
end? What do we say at the end?
We say go look at everything that we do at 5o'clockhustle.com or 5 o'clock hustle on your social media and
Go
go Panthers.
Go Panthers.
Keep hustling.